Another way for us to reach the public.
All right, the Nevada Census will play an important role in the quality of education our children receive. We'll now take a look at a mother who has children in the Clark County School District.
It's a common story shared by many Nevada families. The constant push to improve one's life through hard work, sacrifices made in order to provide for those who depend on us, an ever-present hope that all the effort will culminate in a better and brighter Nevada for future generations.
I work for a laundry company. I have been with them for 11 years. We pick up soiled uniforms, towels, and linens from local hotels to launder and return.
Like all parents, Vicenta's core motivation is to ensure her children have a solid foundation upon which to strive for excellence and achievement.
My 17-year-old who will be finishing high school, Emmanuel, who has 3 years left to finish high school, and Jacqueline, who will enter the first grade. I encourage them by demanding they get to bed early in order to get ready for school each morning. I have to admit they are diligent in that regard. My hopes for my children once they graduate from high school are that they continue their education through to college and grow as individuals and professionals.
These hopes and dreams are paved by a path of determination and education. The 2010 census will play a large role in helping to ensure Nevada school children receive a quality education. Census data are used when establishing formulas for allocating federal funds for various state K-12 education programs. Put simply, blank and unreturned census forms equate to less money for our state's school children.
When I receive my census form in the mail, I plan to fill it out and return it right away. I share these same thoughts with family, friends, and coworkers because the education for our children stands to be directly affected. It is very important to me that my children receive a good education because their future careers depend on it.
Welcome back. Join me for the education segment of our program is Clark County School District Board of Trustees President Terry Janison and Aldo Aguirre from the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
You know, education, as I was poring over this research, wow, so much is dependent on the census in terms of funding. And, well, let's talk a little bit about the programs in the school district that are really almost exclusively dependent on accurate census figures in terms of the federal government.
Well, you know, the two areas that are most affected, unfortunately, are the children who live in poverty and then also children who speak a different language than English as their first language. We currently have over 150 languages spoken in the Clark County School District. So it's very important because there's no state funding that is earmarked specifically for either one of those items. And so those federal funds are critical to us. And so it's just imperative that we have accurate numbers from the census to ensure that our children who live in poverty and children who have English as a second language are taken care of.
More specifically, the free and reduced lunch program, I understand that because of what prior census figures, you're not going to get the money or the funds that you need next year. So it's really almost so important, so incumbent now to make sure we make up for that lost revenue.
You know, and there's two angles to that specifically, because we're currently funded 10,000 children under what is accurate for those children with free and reduced lunch. So we're having to take care of those. But the other part of it, because of the economic situation that we're in right now, the numbers of children who qualify for free and reduced lunch have risen. Our numbers are over 46% of the students that we educate in the Clark County School District qualify for free and reduced lunch. And so if we don't have accurate census data to do that, more and more of those children are coming up and we're not being funded for them.
You know, there are two factors that affect how we get that education funding over 10 years. On the one hand, because the count is only done every 10 years, it multiplies the impact of an undercount over those 10 years. I've got an 8-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter in the Clark County School District right now. They will both be graduated from high school, and we will still be using data from the 2010 census. So that shows you, I mean, you know, the extent of this. No pressure, but you know, any mistakes that we make over the next couple of months, we're going to be feeling the effect of that for the next 10 years.
And I would disagree. I think we need to put the pressure. We do need to feel that
pressure.
When you look at this segment of Hispanics that configure the larger aggregate group, you realize that a lot of those are Hispanic kids, immigrant kids that are benefiting from these federal programs that are so direly needed, Title I, free and reduced lunches, and Head Start as well.
Explain a little bit about Title I, because people hear that term, but this helps schools in at-risk neighborhoods, and they're particularly vulnerable to an undercount.
Yes, I didn't know if you were asking the educator,
That's
but
okay.
well, Title I programs, are, of course, come in through federal funds and are targeting those communities that are low socioeconomic, that have that need, I should say, an extra hand in getting ready for school, and provide programs that get kids familiar with reading before they even get started. So in terms of Head Start, now Title I are programs that actually are providing kids inside the schools programs that they need to get them up to speed, and especially when it comes to ESL, language proficiency, that sort of thing.
And two things along that line is that the Title I schools are identified by the numbers of children who qualify for free and reduced lunch. So that's what hits the trigger. So the numbers of children on that campus is what qualifies you as a Title I school. The other very, very unfortunate situation right now is that for this next budget in the federal administration, the Title I funds for the Clark County School District are being cut $6.9 million.
Wow.
You know, we're actually really proud of the partnership we've had with the Clark County School District now for going on 2 years. We've been working with the school district to figure out ways to get the word out to the community. We actually have a program called Census in the Schools. It was developed by Scholastic in partnership with the Census Bureau, and we are working with the school district right now to implement lesson plans, maps, role-playing skits, different ways of imparting information about the census to kids. Because honestly, Mitch, sometimes those kids are the best ambassador back to the home. In many cases, they may be the only person in the home who speaks English well. And so we want to make sure that we engage on all cylinders here and to communicate the importance of the census through those schools.
And Aldo, I wanted to ask you this because we have brought this up before, but people need to realize, particularly in Latino and Hispanic communities, confidentiality. This information is not going anywhere.
Well, that's very true, and there is a distrust inborn from immigrant communities that come from other countries where the relationship is between government and citizen is not as transparent and as democratic as we know of here in the United States. One of the things that MALDIF has done is to come up with this palm card, we call it. It's very clear, succinct, and it provides information on the confidentiality of the census. We know that by law, information, the answers that are gathered can't be shared with federal, state, or local agencies,
That's right.
including ICE. And so I think one of the main points that you make is that Hispanics need to be assured that their information is going to be confidential. And I believe, David, you'll correct me, but I think it's 75 years before any of that information can be released. And
72.
72.
Yeah,
so
and strictly enforced, by fine and by jail term. We definitely take that very, very seriously.
One last question, and that is, as I go over this, the summer youth programs, literacy training, after-school programs, early childhood education, there's so much dependent on this.
Those are the programs that we receive the federal grants for to ensure that our children have those opportunities. And if you look at specifically the after-school programs, the high school readiness and the college preparedness for those children who we want to make sure do go to college, but also the early childhood education, there is an economic impact for our community as a whole. If we can fund and continue to have those positive programs on an early childhood education, it has been proven that it shows an economic impact for the community that we live in.
Thank you very, very much, David. Some closing comments. I think maybe only one thing we haven't touched upon is that it doesn't take very long. It used to have this long form, and,
Right.
and now it's been abbreviated. Explain that.
There's a lot of misinformation about what the census entails, and the fact is this is one of the shortest censuses in the modern history of the census. It is 10 questions. It takes 10 minutes, and we believe it's a very simple thing to do that will directly impact on your community and their quality of life for the next 10 years to come. Oftentimes we hear the census referred to elsewhere as a civic duty, as an obligation. Unfortunately, the envelope says your response is required by law. Here in Nevada, our response is required by our self-interest. There is probably no state that has more to gain from this than we do here. So that makes my job kind of easy, to go out there and to make the case for this. but it's the work of all the partners, all the people you've seen over the last hour, just the chorus of voices that are all banding together to talk about the importance of this for the community. We are very confident that we are firing on all cylinders, communicating this message well, and really expressing to the community here in Las Vegas Valley that this is something that is very simple but very important for all of us here as residents.
Well, thank you very much. This has been an informative 60 minutes. I'd like to thank our guests for being on the program and to remind you that you can obtain more information on the Nevada Census at our website at vegaspbs.org. Just click on Make It Count. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.